Are they taking everybody out? Because I really want to understand what the hell's going on. Because if it's not Diddy, it's Tyler Perry being sued. Now, Fat Joe is being sued, guys, for significant, horrific allegations. Everything you guys need to know in less than 10 minutes. Hey guys, it's Murad Merali, daily and consistent content. Let's get straight into this video where Fat Joe's former hype man says in a new lawsuit that the rapper was basically... And he is just going straight into it, guys, and not wasting any time, but basically stating that the rapper was being intimate with those who were underage, specifically girls who are 15 and 16. But Joe is responding and he's furious, stating that the allegations are BS. Terrence T.A. Dixon has filed a lawsuit Thursday claiming that there were at least 2 minor females at Fat Joe's house or intimate with him, and that he basically fell in love with another. In the documents, Dixon's attorney Tyrone A. Blackburn claims a 16-year-old Dominican girl would perform forms of intimacy on Joe in exchange for cash, clothing, and cell phone bill payments. Dixon claims Joe started a relationship with a 15-year-old Caucasian girl after meeting at an overseas concert. He says Joe flew her to New York and Miami multiple times and paid for her to get a BBL because her body was adolescent and not fully formed. Dixon claims the girl is now married to a pro athlete. In the suit, Dixon claims Fat Joe was in love with a Latina he met when she was 15. He says Joe paid all the girls' bills, took her overseas for tours, put her up in a condo near where he lived with his wife in Florida, and contemplated leaving his own wife for her. Dixon says Joe has an unhealthy and troubling fixation on underage individuals and raps about it in a song called She's My Mama. Joe's ex-hype man also says that Fat Joe coerced him into being intimate with women after concerts, sometimes in full view of other people, and says Joe underpaid him, denied him songwriting credits, and concealed royalties and back-end payments. So I guess this is why he's exposing him. Fat Joe's attorney, get this, Joe Tacopina, has told TMZ that the lawsuit is a blatant act of retaliation for a civil suit Joe filed against Dixon. Joe Tacopina says the allegations are lies intended to damage his reputation and force a settlement through public pressure. And he claims law enforcement is aware of what he says are extortionate demands. As TMZ first reported, Joe sued Dixon back in April. So this looks like a back and forth between this man, because he basically has not been paid, not been appreciated for the songwriting credits, and concealed royalties. But there are so many levels to this conversation, because they're saying that Fat Joe even enjoyed CP. He had multiple relationships with minors and, SA claims. Now, first and foremost, Joe Tacopino somehow appeared like some magician and is covering for Fat Joe, means that Fat Joe called him and said, listen, I'm going to give you all the money that you need. This is the same person that got A$AP Rocky out of his case. He's a big lawyer, number one. Number two, this friend of you, whatever his name is, let me find out his name again, Terrence, only now you want to tell the world that your friend was allegedly being with minors, only because you never got your payment. So how long have you known that information? But now you want to put it all out on Front Street. But before, it was all paused because you were getting your money. Therefore, you turned a blind eye. So you're just as bad as far as I'm concerned, because now you want to talk about this. And also, birds of a feather flock together. So what were you doing with Fat Joe at that moment of time? You're not getting your back-end payments. You're not being appreciated for your credits and royalties. Then now you want to come out with this whole situation of Fat Joe was doing this, he was doing this. These are some shocking, grave, horrific allegations. And the timing of this being released, because you're not getting your money, is making me look at even you questionable. No disrespect, no disrespect, no disrespect. But also Tyrone Blackburn holding this case, to me, just has questions, because in the Diddy related stuff, in my opinion, I believe that one of the judges even told him off. So I just feel like, I don't know. No disrespect to him. I do believe he even follows me, so I don't want to be rude, but I just feel like, to me, that just makes me think that, I'm looking at things a bit different. I have questions about this because I don't understand anything about it. I just feel like people are being taken out left, right, because of, SA claims. People have had enough. It's all come after P. Diddy. The P. Diddy Cassie lawsuit has set a strong precedent for a lot of people to be like, well, you know what? You lot had these lawsuits against Diddy. Diddy's now been indicted. He's in court, about to go jail. I can now come against this particular A-lister as well, because I can. And that's why there was that lawsuit with Jay-Z and via Busby. That's why there is this whole lawsuit with Tyler Perry. That's why there is this lawsuit with Fat Joe and, other people. It's just horrific. So this is basically what he's been accused of. Sued for 20 million, guys. Fat Joe has been sued for 20 million by his former hype man. It's an explosive complaint, guys, and he's basically saying that he was coerced into committing more than 4,000 sexual acts to maintain his standing and, maintain his friendship with him. The complaint was filed in the U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York, detailing, guys, so many disturbing claims. A 157-page document. Dixon states in the complaint that Fat Joe forced him into humiliating situations, including acts performed under duress and surveillance, accompanied by threats of abandonment in foreign countries if he refused compliance, by his own estimation. Dixon states in the suit that he was coerced into more than 4,000 acts to maintain, mostly. What is shocking is that, of course, he goes onto the fact that he had continuous relationships with minors 1 and 2, and apparently a third one as well. He was even in love with this third one, and he brought her to Florida and will put her up in a condo he rented a few blocks from his house with his wife, the lawsuit states. And in a recorded conversation, minor Doe 3 and her 15-year-old cousin describe in detail to the plaintiff how inappropriate it was for the defendant, who was in his late 30s at the time, to be fawning over children. Recording? Lord. Other defendants include Pistol Pete, Torres, and Richard, Rich Player, who the complaint refers to as key associates in Fat Joe's criminal enterprise, asserting civil claims for violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act and RICO, as well as related violations under New York and Florida law, including unjust enrichment. The suit additionally named Jay-Z's Roc Nation, claiming that the company, which represents Fat Joe, knowingly participated in concealing, transferring, and manipulating Dixon's authorship rights and royalty interests, and sought to intimidate, harass, and obstruct the hype man's legitimate claims against Fat Joe, Torres, and Just. According to the lawsuit, the defendants engaged in deliberate tax fraud schemes in an effort to conceal their extensive wage theft, artificially inflate Dixon's tax and liabilities, expose him to unwarranted tax audits and penalties, and systematically obscure the exploited labor. The complaint cites a whistleblower accountant who came forward last year, as well as recorded phone calls that help paint the picture of the alleged misdeeds. Dixon's suit against Fat Joe goes much further than the social media post and states that he endured a wide spectrum of sexual coercion, psychological control, forced exhibitionism, and surveillance-based humiliation, including being compelled to perform acts of sex under observation, being filmed or directed by Fat Joe in the presence of others. Tactics designed to control plaintiff's body, erode his autonomy, and ensure silence. These based acts were not private, incidental, or isolated. They were integral to the enterprise's culture of dominance and humiliation, enforced by defendants associated such as Pistol Pete, JB, and others. Dixon claimed that the activity took place on a corporate yacht and at its mansion's properties, where Fat Joe orchestrated repeated orgies involving plaintiff, female dancers, and minors. Defendant used the lawsuit adds that Fat Joe used his status as a hip-hop star to compel Dixon and others into degrading acts, often while Fat Joe watched, recorded, or directed the encounters. These incidents occurred under conditions that included the presence of corporate security staff, surveillance cameras, defendant management entourage, yet no intervention even occurred. Nobody cared, supporting the inference that these acts were facilitated by and covered up by the broader enterprise and its affiliates. Dixon did not willingly participate, he is stating, and that he's been financially punished. The suit claims that Fat Joe also issued veiled death threats and witness intimidation via direct messages saying that you love your family, right? Fall back in 48 hours and we'll let you live. Though Fat Joe hobnobbed with some of the biggest names in politics, there were at least one brush with scandal back in 2010. He and members of his entourage were detained and questioned after a University of Wisconsin student reported an alleged essay following a performance. There goes a snail trail. There's always a snail trail. Roc Nation being involved as well. That in itself is very interesting because they're always involved in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. To me, that's very bizarre. To me, that's very bizarre that Roc Nation somehow have been found in this whole madness. So Fat Joe is being brutally exposed alongside his, co-defendants, his friends, and even Roc Nation saying that they were knowingly, seeing that Fat Joe was basically stealing money from these people who needed it and where they were helping to facilitate. Oh my God. They're taking everybody out, guys. They are taking everybody out. Left, right, and center is basically what is happening right now. Fat Joe, you have said that this is all fake and extortion. We're following this lawsuit. We're going to find out what's going to happen, let alone the Tyler Perry lawsuit. All of this stuff even reminds me of Diddy, his enterprise, Bad Boy Records, and the ethos that they held with HR, basically saying that they all serve Diddy. Christina Coram saying that they serve Diddy. All of it is the same language. all of it is the same language. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Please do subscribe. I'm filming these videos for you guys at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, but content is content, news is news, has to get up as soon as it comes out. Please do click that button and subscribe. It's just one click. Send a tip if you guys wish to. It goes a long way, and I'll catch you guys soon for another video.